Hey everyone, today I'm going to make the wrist blades from the Predator franchise. For this build, I used EVA foam, craft foam, wood, key rings, a spring, super glue, hot glue, cutting tools, sanding tools, safety gear, scissors, razor pens, and a box cutter. Alright, so I'm going to start out with the forearm or gauntlet armor pattern from my clone Commando Trooper, partly because it keeps on coming up as a good base no matter what armor I'm building, but really it's the one that fits me the best. It gives me the most leeway. I keep gaining and losing the same 20 pounds, and as a result, none of my armor ever fits. I did a Helldiver suit, and somebody called me an Ozempic trooper, and I'm like, nah man, it's just manual labor. I was doing a carpentry job when I built that. Half of this is manual labor, and the other half is sitting in a chair, editing, trying to keep Cool Ranch Dorito dust out of my keyboard. You don't need medications. Well, maybe caffeine. I blame caffeine. Caffeine for the weight loss and gluten-free Oreos for the weight gain. So if C4 and Nabisco want to sponsor me... Wait, no, please not Nabisco. No, don't! Ah, they got me. I'll just turn into Shakespeare the Hutt. Anyway, gonna use this blank gauntlet as a base, and I'm gonna slowly build up on top of it to make it unique to the Predator franchise. And once I figured out the full pattern, it'll be available linked down below in the video description and comments. Once it was cut out, I followed all the standard foam smithing techniques in order to make it three-dimensional. Cue soundboard! Heat formed it, rolled it up, and stuck it into a cylinder transparent for your benefit. When it cooled, I glued the edges together. Thanks, soundboard Jake. And that's a basic gauntlet. You know how I think of it? Part of me wants to turn that into a Lilu gauntlet. Sorry, Leela gauntlet. Futurama, not Fifth Element. But that is way too easy. I don't think I could get a full build out of that. Maybe a short. I don't know, we'll see. This one, however, has to support a spring-loaded mechanism, so I'm going to use a piece of wood as a base for that. I cut it down to size with a handsaw, then I glued it to the gauntlet with hot glue over the seam, partly so that it was hidden, but mostly to strengthen it. It's all going to get covered up anyway. This will just prevent it from ripping in the event of an accident. I'm going to start with the sides and then leave it open until the mechanism is done. There's usually a fair amount of trial and error whenever you're building a mechanism from scratch, so I want to do as much as I can to prevent myself from having to tear this thing open to make adjustments after the fact. There's a slot in each side for the draw pin to fit through and act as a track. This doesn't necessarily have to be visible, but I'm leaving it open for anyone who's trying to build this, hasn't built anything before, doesn't build things often, and may be confused about how this works. And I know it may seem like a simple thing, but one of my most successful blaster builds, I only dedicated a single second long shot, 30 frames, to how the trigger works, and to this day I get questions. And I'm like, it's a hinge and a rubber band. It ain't rocket science. I'm not saying that's you, just saying those people are out there. This is for my own sanity. It's not you, it's me. I glued those onto the gauntlet on either side of the plank. Then I grabbed a dowel for the pin. I measured it and cut it down to size. I did a test fitting. This revealed it to be a bit too narrow, so I needed to sand it slightly, and to get in there, I used the narrow sanding bit in order to do that. Next, I made a stencil of the blade shape and traced it onto wood. Saved that for the other ones so they'd be identical. Then I cut it out. This had to be done very carefully because wood this thin tends to break, hence all the repositioning to make teeny tiny cuts. When I had the basic shape cut out, I drilled out a hole for the pin. Again, I'm doing this very carefully, first drilling a pilot hole before stepping up the diameter to match the pinhole. The notch in the blade itself is somewhat tricky though. Because of that narrow bit on the underside of the loop, it's prone to fracture. So rather than getting the biggest drill bit I have, I'm going to drill a bunch of little holes on the interior first, and then carefully step it up until it looks like Swiss cheese. Incredibly splintery Swiss cheese. Then I chopped out some of the internal structure with the saw, which puts far less stress on the overall piece when you're only sawing the walls of the little holes. And finally, I carefully sanded the interior into a more smoothly circular shape with the rotary tool bit. Next, I traced the blade's arrowhead segments onto 2mm craft foam. There's 3 segments per blade, so that makes 12 in total, 6 per blade. I glued them to the wooden spikes with hot glue, very lightly. These pieces are way too thin and delicate to close up completely with hot glue, so Once the arrowheads were attached to either side, I used super glue to seal up the edges. The edges did have to be cleaned up a bit to look sharper. I did that using scissors and sanders. I did a test fitting, but I didn't attach them yet. This is just to figure out the placement, where the tracks are going to line up, and where the holes on the front should be positioned. And so using those measurements, I made a front panel, and eventually I would use this to make the back panel as well. I glued that in, then I inserted the blades and locked them to the pin using hot glue, but being careful not to glue it to the platform itself. This is going to be spring-loaded, so I attached an eye bolt to use as a more secure mounting point in the center of the pin. Then I put another one on the front of the plank, and I hooked a spring to both of them. I think this one was off of a desk lamp, by the way. Or more culturally relevant, microphone bendy arm stand. Now it has the kinetic energy to spring outward. To control it, I needed to add a trigger mechanism. So I carved this basic arch shape out of wood, much thicker wood than the base plank, because there's going to be a lot of stress on this and, wood splinters. I don't want to go to the hospital with 17th century sailor injuries. That'd just be embarrassing. I attached it to the back of the base plate with a copper hinge. This is going to hold it back, keeping the blades from shooting forward. Okay, so now that we have all of the moving parts taken care of, I can close it up. I cut an elbow piece and some 2mm to cover the pattern. Next, I closed up the trigger compartment, but I had to leave an opening for the trigger catch motion. More on that later. Now, in order to trigger the mechanism, I'm going to need to attach wire to the catch. First, I drilled in another eye bolt, then I threaded a metal wire through the bolt and twisted it until it was secure. In the past, I've used fishing line, but with this much tension, it tends to break. And I don't have to do multiple takes of the effect shot. I mean, I'm gonna, but I don't want to do a ton of them. Hence, metal. I use side cutters to cut a length of it. Now, because I'm using a metal wire, it has the potential to act like a little saw blade and dig into both of the foam as well as the wearer's skin. So to prevent that, I'm gonna thread it through a tube on the interior of the gauntlet. This is a length of incredibly narrow PVC pipe, but a regular pen casing might work as well. I threaded the wire through the tube and placed it on the interior of the gauntlet. Then I secured it to the inner wall with hot glue. I lined up where my hand would go and then connected the other end of the wire to a key ring. When I wear the key ring like a regular ring, then with the flick of the wrist, I can release the catch and trigger the blades. Let's do a quick test. That was a little underwhelming, so I moved the catch as far back as it would go to give the blades more length, or really more difference between the safe mode and the combat mode. Once more. Nice. Now that I know the full range of motion of the mechanism, I added panels to cut down on the openings around the trigger a bit more. Now for my favorite part of these projects, the greebling. Oh boy, his seasonal allergies are not helping my line reads. That was more like a horror movie read. This summer, the greebling. What would that movie even be? Like a zombie virus that makes you break out into hives that look like parts from small model tanks. I'm either dying or turning into an M1 Abrams. Okay, so if you're new to this and you're totally lost, which I do not blame you, greebling is a process where prop makers build a basic model of a spaceship or a prop, and then in order to make it look more technologically advanced, intricate, they cover all the blank surfaces with parts from old model kits, and those are known as greeblies. Now I could do that, but I don't want to bash up my model kits. And I want to stick with the foam medium here. So I'm using craft foam offcuts from previous build videos that have interesting shapes. Some of these are accurate to the original film, but mostly I'm just winging it. The details tend to change from film to film anyway, which I'm fine with a change in the continuity, just because at this point we've established the Predator aliens has a multitude of subcultures. So there's gonna be a fair amount of individual expression. I mean, in the movie Prey, the Predator was wearing a skull instead of a mask. The one detail that seems to carry on through all the films, however, is this corrugated tube along the sides. It's nice to know that no matter where you are in the galaxy, you can always find engine conduit. I'm stranded on Mars, what do I do? Oh wait, there's an auto zone. We're good, it's all good. I grabbed a length from my spare xenomorph parts and cut it down to size. Next, I cut a length of dowel to go on the interior to keep it straight. This is personal preference. On some of the newer ones, it doesn't S-curve. I repeated those steps because this detail carries on over to the other side. It's one of the few symmetrical ones. And now I have tiny chopsticks to pick up my foam. Ethyl vinyl acetate. I capped off the ends with foam hole punches from previous builds. There's the opposite side. Now I'm going to cover up some more openings because the slider is giving me some strong M41 vibes. And I just did one of those. I don't want it to be too bulky, so I'm using 2mm this time. I added foam bevels to the sides, using super glue for the smaller pieces because hot glue will smoosh out from underneath and ruin the whole mechanical illusion. The rest of the pieces are just random. You may recognize them from previous builds. They're usually the offcut of a piece that I did use. I have a hard time throwing away pieces that I've already put the work into and feel like, okay, you know, that can save me some time on a future build. This is just me justifying my hoarding. Also the weird calluses I get from my hole punch tool. Ooh, is that serious? This incredibly thin foam dowel is left over from the Alien Romulus blaster, and I forget the rest. Okay, so that's one side of the blade box. I think there's too many harsh angles, so for the cylindrical portion, I'm gonna add some swoopy armor plates. These were prototypes that I made while figuring out how to make the Cylon's arms. I glued one to the back, making sure that it didn't interfere with my range of motion. Then I filled in the blank spaces with more scrap foam. I also used these half bevels in random areas to both disguise the moving parts and distract from the disguises. It'd be weird if there was just one of them. Oh, hey, while I'm at it, I added a little shield on top of the front of the gauntlet for extra protection from the blades. The movies kind of imply that they're insanely sharp, like otherworldly sharp. Like that whole thing in a bunch of sci-fi shows where if an alien has a sword or a blade or shuriken, whatever, it's sharpened to the width of an atom. I know that was in Stargate. I did a test fitting, and alright, still fits. Now to test out the trigger mechanism, the trigger loop is hidden underneath a glove. Although if you're going full Yautja, then creature gloves will suffice. I do recommend a light underglove though, because when you're using, metal components, that metal wire will dig into the back of your hand. Okay, there we go. And that's how to make the Predator's wrist blades. I'm going minimalist on the paint job for this one because I've covered painting in hundreds of tutorials by now, and there just isn't time for this build. I mean, the Cylon took all summer to paint. If you're going for a shinier look, then check out the Daft Punk video. The new one. I think the silver one came out better than the gold one. And quick safety brief, with anything spring-loaded, never aim it at anyone's face. Like, be mindful when you're loading it that you're not looking straight down at it. Don't be young Homer. I see the switch, but where's the blade? Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, I'd like to thank my patrons. These videos just wouldn't be possible without the support of my patrons. So if you enjoy these builds, want to see more of them, and want your build request to carry a bit more weight, then think about heading on over to the Patreon page, where you can enjoy ad-free early uploads. Anything you can pledge goes towards improving the video quality and shop equipment, as well as allowing me to put together bigger and more exciting projects for you on the channel. Alright, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified of the future uploads, because it's kind of at a totally random schedule. And let me know what other props you'd like to see me make in comments down below. Thanks again, happy crafting, see you later!